This is the new PowKiddy A20. Is it any good? Let's check it out. So yes, here we are with the new PowKiddy model A20. And this is a very sleek device, but before we have a look at the device, what do we get in the box? Well, not much. We get a USB-C cable and a manual. Yeah, that's about it. Not much. I'm sure the manual's in English on one side, it's Chinese on that side, and English on the other. Alright, so you can read the thing. And that's all we get in the box. So let's take a look at the machine. Now the A20 is a very nice machine to hold. It feels very comfortable in the hand. It has this nice soft feel to it. We've got a nice big screen here, responsive buttons and a responsive D-pad, and the typical analog stick there, which is actually digital. The D-pad is a little bit shallow. I would have liked a little bit more move on that, but you know, it's not too bad. On the side of the unit, we've got the power button, which lights up different colors when it's being charged or transferring data. The volume up and down buttons. And on the back we have the USB-C input, an actual headphone out, a reset button, and L&R triggers. Everything is micro switched. On the bottom of the device we have the USB-C input and the micro SD card slot. And the speaker, of course. Now this device runs Android, and you can actually get into the Android system on this device by pressing the Y button and going into the system settings. So here we can go down to enter Android apps list, press the A button. It basically tells us don't do this because this is for debugging, but just ignore that and we're straight into the stock Android. And we go over to the settings here and you'll see it's just like pretty much any other Android phone. So yeah, this is basically an Android phone. It even has a camera option on here under apps. So if we go to the apps and content, and we'll see all apps. Yeah, see, even as an app for the camera, even though this device has no camera, even a gallery app. So when it comes to navigating the menus, it is pretty simple to do. So first we'll take a look at the options. So we'll go into the system menu here. We've got handheld settings, and basically this lets you switch on the Wi-Fi. Yes, you can connect to online Wi-Fi with this, and you can connect to an online Wi-Fi store. In other words, a ROM site to download illegal ROMs. We can switch on Bluetooth to connect it to Bluetooth controllers, just the brightness of the screen, the volume. Going into the game settings, we have this one here for image enhancement, but basically this should be image viewing. At the moment it's disabled, which means games should play natively. You put it into HQ mode, that basically makes everything a blurry mess. It looks terrible. And linear is a kind of scanline option. Looks okay on some systems, but generally it looks pretty poor, so keep that off. Here you can see we can rearrange all the keys, so we can rearrange the actual D-pad on the unit and also change the keys on a Bluetooth controller. So that's pretty handy. And this is where we get to the marketplace or the illegal downloads if we were connected to Wi-Fi, which we're not, so we're not going to be taking a look at that. Now when it comes to navigating games, we've got a couple of choices. Either we can just have all the games listed, we can go through types, so it's listed in the order of machines, and as you can see there are an awful lot of machines on here to choose from. We can have a list of games which we've already played, or search for games, which I think is a nice little feature. So for example, if we just search for, I don't know, maybe we want to play Street Fighter, we'll just type in Street here. And let's see, where's space? I don't know where space is. But anyway, you can see we've got all the Street listed games, over there. So we can just choose a game from the list and boot it up. So for example, let's go with Street Fighter 3, the New Generations. And this should be running on the Final Burn core, I would imagine. Alright, so there we go, it's up and running. Now when you're inside the game, you do have some options to mess about with. So for example, we press the home button here and we can go to game settings. Now game settings will allow us to choose a save state. So we can have multiple save states. Game speed, disabled or enabled, basically just turns the sound on and off. So if you have a game which is running slow, you switch the enabled on, which will make the game run faster, but you get no sound. If you've got a cheat database listed in the machine, then you can choose your cheats here, but I have no cheat database installed, so that's not going to work. IO test just lets you test all the buttons. Again, you can change the key configuration per game, and utility pad wizards allow you to reconfigure a Bluetooth controller. And if some games do feature online play, you can enable it or disable it here, but keep in mind you need to be connected to the network. Now the built-in speaker, let's turn it up so you can have a hear of that. It's not too bad. Unfortunately, because it's on the bottom of the machine right here, the sound just fire down, and it is a little bit muffled if you have it on a desk like this, but it is fairly loud. So what we're going to do now is we're going to connect this up with the sound directly going into the camera, and I'll connect up a Bluetooth controller and we'll play some games and we'll see just how good the emulation is on this device. Well, so much for connecting this up to a Bluetooth controller. Doesn't seem to want to connect to anything. Watch this. So we'll go into, so we see Bluetooth is enabled. We go into the Bluetooth section. So let's start up the pairing modes on both these controllers. You'd be lucky if it finds one of them. Okay, that is now in its pairing mode, and this one too. And they are being paired in the Android format. So okay, so it's found this controller, that's the STK, but it hasn't found the 8-bit DO, so let's refresh the menu. Okay, it's found the 8-bit DO, and it's found this one. Okay, let's try and connect to the 8-bit DO. Okay, so now it's trying to connect, and it just has a little red circle there. I don't know if you can see that, but that will not connect. No matter how long you wait, it will not connect. Same thing with this controller here, it just will not connect to it, even though they're both listed. So the 8-bit DO is still flashing there. I can see the little LED light still flashing. It's not connecting, and the little LED light on here is still flashing. In fact, if I switch off this light, maybe you can see that. But yeah, no matter what you choose, it does not want to connect. The 8-bit DO's given up. Let's start up again and see. Right, refresh. Okay, it's found this controller. And now it's not finding the 8-bit DO. Okay, well let's try and connect to this controller. Oh, there's 8-bit DO. Anyway, we'll try and connect to this controller this time. And as you can see, that is still flashing. It's still trying to connect. But this will not connect to it. So yeah, there's certainly something wrong with the Bluetooth connection on this device. It is pretty useless. So there we have it, that is the PowKiddy A20. So let's get the negative points out of the way first. The thing that really holds back this machine, in my opinion, is the software. Now the front end is good, I do like the amount of options, the fact you can go onto an online store and download games is pretty cool. However, the emulation side of things is not great. So we've got PlayStation Portable here, which runs really well, but then things like Game Boy are not as smooth as they should be. And Dreamcast emulation is still the same old crappy emulator that they keep using, which, you know, has been superseded by much better emulators. But yet they insist on using some old version of Raycast or whatever it is they're using. So that's a bit of a problem. But, you know, for what is on here, there is a lot that works well, such as Nintendo 64 was pretty good, PSP is pretty good, Mega Drive Super Nintendo works really well. As you saw, Stunt Race FX was running at the correct speed. Even the WonderSwan emulator is pretty good. The arcade emulation is also reasonable, a little bit hit and miss on some titles, but there's a vast majority that work well. As for the actual machine, well, I do like the style of it. It feels good in the hand. The buttons are reasonable. As I said, that D-pad could do with a little bit more travel, but it's not too bad. So yeah, if you can get a custom firmware on this, fix the issues with Bluetooth and maybe update some of the emulators, I would recommend this. So I'm going to put a link in the video description down below. Check it out if you're after one. The PowKiddy A20.